Hello, friends. My name is Adam, and I'm on a quest to be the most prolific reviewer of all time, which means I review books, movies, podcasts, plays, whatever. And recently, because it's been Christmas, I've just sort of been flipping through the channels and stopping on things that I want to watch. So, yesterday was Christmas Day, so my kids were over, and my daughter was putting together this Lego flower thing that I got her for Christmas. And so Jumanji came and she was like, "Oh, is this the original?" And I thought that she hadn't watched it. So I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So the Jumanji from 1995 is the one that starring Robin Williams is the one that I'm going to be reviewing. So we started to watch it and she was saying like I thought that she hadn't watched it before. And she kept saying, "Oh, this part really scared me." And I'm like, "Oh, you've seen it before." I was like, "Yes, I think that I've seen it." So the film stars Robin Williams, of course, and also Kirsten Dunst, David Allen Greer, Bonnie Hunt, Jonathan Hyde, and Babe Newirth. And the plot of the movie there's is set in two different times, 1969 and 1995. So in 1969, there's a kid who's being bullied and he runs into his dad's factory. And then there's like a something that happens. And basically, he gets into an argument with his father about how he doesn't want to go to a boarding school and how he doesn't want to be like his father. And he is about to run away, but he hears, he's talking to his friend, and he hears this like drum, 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 drum thing. And it's basically the board game Jumanji calling to him. So they open the game and they start to play. And so the the first thing that happens, the girl rolls, and there's these like weird bats that fly out of the board. And the board is actually really well designed. It looks great. And then the second roll is that um, Peter, I guess, is the guy's name Peter or Alan? No, the guy's name is Alan. The character's name is Alan. So Alan rolls some number, and the message of the board says, unless another player rolls a 2 or an 8, you are stuck. But his friend, like, so he gets sucked into the game, which is really crazy. And his friend is like watching this, like, oh my God, that's insane. And she runs away, basically. So he gets sucked into this board, and she runs away. And that's when that part of the story finishes. So then we fast forward to 1995, where these two kids, who are played by Kristen Dunst and um, I don't remember the other person's name. But anyway, their names, the characters' names are Judy and Peter. That's why I was confused. So Judy and Peter. And they have moved into the huge parish mansion with their guardian, who was played by BB Newirth. And it's interesting. So BB Newirth is probably most familiar for her role as Lilith, the ex-wife of Frasier from Cheers and Frasier. And it's really odd how typecast she was, because in this movie she plays somebody who is like really caring and maybe a bit naive, maybe, but not the same kind of character. So it's interesting how actresses and actors get typecast according to the success that they've had, because I don't think I've seen her in anything else apart from Jumanji and Frasier and Cheers. So it'd be interesting. If you know what happened to BB Newirth after those things, just let me know in the comments. Yeah, so they move into the house and, they're exploring, and there's all these hints that something dark has happened at the house. And they're going to have their first day of school. And this is the weird part about Jumanji is like, so Alan in the original 1969 was about to run away and he hears the drums and then he's like, okay, I'll play this game. And Peter and Judy are about to go to school and they hear the drums and they're like, okay, let's play this weird game. So they start playing the weird game and then Alan comes back because somebody rolled a 2 or an 8. And then eventually they discover that now there are, I guess, 4 players, but they need the person who was playing in 1969 to continue the game, which is Alan's friend. So they find Alan's friend, and Alan's friend, she's a fortune teller, and she's been, let's say, psychologically scarred by her experience seeing her friend disappear into this board, and she thinks it's all like an hallucination, and she doesn't want it to continue. Yeah, so that's the basic, and they go through the game, and there's a bunch of things that happen. Vines grow. There's like a flood. A bunch of monkeys come out. Giant insects attack them, like giant mosquitoes attack them. So that's the basic plot of the story. And I think that generally the plot of the story, it kind of holds the viewer's attention. But I think the problem is the actual CGI and the visual effects. They don't really hold up at all. And it's interesting. I watched with my son recently Teen Wolf. So Teen Wolf is 10 years younger, older than this movie. So this movie came out in 1996, Teen Wolf in 1986. But the visual effects in Teen Wolf still hold up because they were all practical effects. So there are some monkeys that look completely computer animated. Like basically all of the dangerous stuff looks completely animated. But I think like the human actors are doing a really great job. So this would be a great opportunity to go back and remaster like Jumanji, the 1996 version, and just make the special effects look great. Because obviously we've progressed a lot since that time. And I think people at the time thought that the effects were really great and really revolutionary. And maybe they were, but I don't know. I think if somebody had shown me that and they'd be like, yes, this is the future, this is what things are going to look like in the future, and I would have been like, no, I don't like it. It doesn't look realistic. You could make the argument that the effects look that way because they're not actually really monkeys. They're monkeys from this game, and they're not actually giant insects. They're insects from this game. So the fact that they look fake is probably connected to the fact that they're part of the game. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense because they have water, and the water looks. Because I think the water was the practical effects. The water looks like normal water, so if the water doesn't look unreal or unnaturalistic, then the rest should not look unreal and unnaturalistic, right? So that kind of does detract from um, the point of the movie or the experience of the movie. And I think my kids are probably a little bit too old for watching this movie for the first time. But I think if you showed kids earlier, like younger kids, this movie, like 8, 9, 10, I think that they would also think that the effects were comical, you know, because the effects that they're used to are on such a higher level than the effects in this movie. And yeah. And it's interesting because the movie got mixed reviews when it came out because people were saying, yes, this is too dramatic, too horrible for kids because, one guy gets locked in this game for 25 years and the kids are in constant peril and danger. But I think the the danger of the film, I mean, there are moments, like especially when the water happens, where you do think, oh my God, this is dangerous, they're gonna die. But when the monkeys come out, you're like, oh, those look like fake monkeys. So I think nowadays it doesn't seem so, dramatic or dangerous for a modern eye, I would say. But yeah, I don't know if they would ever do that, but it would be great to have Jumanji with modern special effects where the monkeys actually look like terrifying monkeys. I mean, they're terrifying in a way, but they're not realistic. They don't look like real things that exist in the real universe, if you know what I mean. Um, there's not much to say about the acting apart from what I mentioned, BB Newworth's character. So Robin Williams does uh, it's a really restrained performance. And when he was up for the role, so originally they sent him the script and the first draft, and he was like, "No, I don't like it. I'm not going to do it." And then they sent him another draft, and then the person that they hired, either for the producer or the director, said something like they didn't want to hire him because they were afraid that he would improvise too much, because clearly this is a story that is like really plot driven, so you need the the focus on what's happening. And I think that Williams's character is not actually a funny character. In this, it's a tragic character, and some of the way that he says the lines are quite chilling. Like there's one part where the kids are like, "Oh, we don't need your help," and he's like, "Yeah, you don't need my help because there are these monsters and you might die. Yeah, you don't need my help actually." But the way he says it is much more dark and sinister than my delivery. So it's really a good performance. It's one of maybe Robin Williams's more subtle performances, because generally people think about Williams as being like this brilliant comedic actor or a brilliant dramatic actor, and they don't really think about his roles, which kind of fall somewhere in between, like this one. And I haven't seen it in many, many years, but like 1 Hour Photo as well. So that's a horror movie where he stars as some kind of psychopath. So he did have like this incredible range as an actor. And here he's got a dark side, a dark undertone. Um, yeah, which is not that funny because he is basically dealing with a lot of trauma. And I think that the movie ends in a quite nice way for the characters. And I think like the ending is actually the funniest part. And I won't tell you what happens if you haven't seen it, but there's this one funny part where they um, uh, so basically Robin Williams' character and his friend get married when they grow up, but they kind of remember what happened in Jumanji, but they've lived their life since 1969, and they meet the kids, Peter and Judy, basically, who have no idea what happened because it didn't happen in their reality. But it's an interesting interaction. So if I was going to give it a score out of 10, I'd say like 7 out of 10. It would be much better. The score would be higher if the effects were better. All right, but what did you think? Let me know in the comments. I am trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of January. I have 189. So please like and subscribe. Thank you. And if you're listening on Spotify, please follow the podcast as well. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.